meet you all. Thank you for having me. Um, I'm not going to do full screen because I want to jump between a demo, our website, and the presentation. So I hope you can see my screen well. Can you see it okay?
Mm-hmm.
So my name is Mo. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Monogoto. I'm based in California. I will give you a little bit of background of our company, where we come from, and what are we doing with Ether specifically. So I like that you guys are using also the software defined as a statement, and we are, let's say, trying to evolve from machine to machine, IoT, MVNO to the word software defined connectivity. So I'm with more than 30 years experience in telco and infrastructure, building networks, the last 15 years building cellular networks. And when I started Monogoto with my partner Itamar, we understood that if the first revolution was a cloud compute revolution, where AWS showed us how we can change from buying servers to consuming cloud compute, and then companies like Twilio and CPaaS created what we call the CPaaS revolution, where the old IPPBXs and the old way of consuming telephony switched to over the top and APIs and voice over IP. So we think that we are getting into a new era, an era of software defined connectivity. So the devices of the future needs different type of services. Sometimes they need public networks, sometimes they need private networks, sometimes they will need satellite network. For different life cycles, they might need different quality of service. When the car will be on the private, the car might need a high throughput, low latency. When the car will be on satellite, maybe just a resilient network that can SOS to the back office. So with that understanding, we are pushing hard on software defined, and we are also pushing hard on what we call cloud best practice. We want to, according to any cloud best practice, we want to lower the barrier. We want to lower the barrier of entry of, let's say, deploying private network in terms of skills. We want to lower the barriers in terms of time and lower the barriers in terms of money. And like any other cloud offering, this is our religions. We are not here to invent technology. We just want to make it more accessible. We are a Series A company. The last round was led by Toyota Ventures. We have some strategic partner investors like Samsung, Telefonica, Singtel. So we are trying to mix traditional VCs, telco VCs, and enterprise to justify our story. Our story is not just private network. Our story is the connectivity cloud. The bread and butter today, and I guess until private network will start to catch up, will be also in the next few years. The bread and butter is our roaming with the operators. So we are roaming on 180 countries, and we can give resilient connectivity. Most of our customers will be connected cars, automotives, smart cities, sensors, telematics, etc. A year and a half ago, we signed roaming agreement with a satellite company called Skylo. So our devices, if it's 3GPP release 17, can also roam on a satellite. And we are very heavy, and we see a big promise of offloading some use cases to private network, or we see a big promise in companies that want to deploy private networks, but with less capex, less expertise, less time, and this is where we push the edge, which is based on Ether and connectivity to our cloud to offer a seamless communication. So that's the way we operate. We are big believer in private network. I think that CBRS and other bands that are becoming available for enterprise to use will allow anything from public sector all the way to the private sector to deploy a private network for specific use case. It can be a connected bus that getting to the depot and uploading all the images on a private network, or it can be, and this is all stories that we have, or it can be a company that are doing low power one sensors and have some areas without any coverage, and they want to add private LTE, and we are doing it on the 900 megahertz. So the way that we are working on private network is we have an edge component. The edge can sit in the cloud or locally, depending the breakout for the data that the customer wants to deploy. The edge is based on the open source. The edge can work with any radio, 4G or 5G, create a bubble of a private network, and then our SIM cards can even roam between the public and the private network with data breakout that will go directly from the private network. I don't know, if you don't mind, guys, I would love to stop for questions, and then I will continue to deep dive. It's okay?
Sure, if there are any questions now. I'm kind of guessing we're anxious to see the demos.
Okay, so if no questions, as I said, also from my history, we are big believer in open source. I was in the previous company doing API for telephony API. I saw how open source like Asterix get huge momentum by companies like FreePBX that add element of UI and management. We are not here, as I said, to reinvent technology. We want to focus more in an easier way to manage the devices, easier way to consume the private network. So for example, on the 4G, we added in the last 2 years, thanks to a great effort from GS Lab, we are working closely with them. We added some features that we needed desperately to make private network on our side seamlessly or more consumable. The first feature that was important to us is to add support for CAT-M and NB-IoT. The availability of devices with Band 8 is much more than devices without. So we partner with radio companies that are doing 900 megahertz radio. For 50 megahertz radio, we are also a member in the 450 megahertz alliance. And now we have a proposition for Monogoto for utility companies or for smart cities or other companies that are doing legacy devices to roam on private networks using Band 8 or using or using 450 megahertz on CAT-M and NB-IoT. Another feature that was important for us to add is mobility, a seamless mobility. We wanted to make sure that iPhone will work seamlessly, Android will work seamlessly, eSIM will work seamlessly. This is all features that our team is working hard to perfect, so we can get to a situation that customers can download an eSIM, jump into any private network, and I will show you the features that the radios that we support. We focus a lot in API and self-service. So I'm a big believer in APIs, and I'm a big believer API first, and I'm a big believer in self-service. Less friction, customers will use it more. So literally, most of our job was to add APIs, to add self-service capabilities in Monogoto Hub for the private networks. That's also include documentation. Focus on IP address, IP addressing, deciding what IP each device will get, controlling the APNs, creating a quality of service software so customers can receive certainty on the SLA is getting from the network, can measure the speed, can measure the latency. And of course, our legacy platform, which is managing IoT devices, we want to extend it to the private network. So maybe I will show a quick demo. By the way, before the demo, we are very open in our documentation. So if anyone will go to docs.monogoto.io, docs.monogoto.io, under the section private network, we have explanation on the edge and what we did around the edge. We have, you can see here the quality of service feature that we developed, the logging capability, because we needed to add CDR, we needed to add billing, we needed to add some more capabilities to make it work seamlessly with our platform. And it's all the way to even self-service of installing an edge with the private network and sit in the Monogoto platform. I can show you some example. This is a customer that we have that is using private networking in RV parks. I can go into an edge, and on each edge I will get the what we call big numbers of statistics of the current status. It's a little bit slow. That's what we call the demo effect, but you can see like big numbers that I'm getting for the edge. Then, of course, visibility is everything with API, what is up, what is not up, what's working, what's not working, including the ability for me to see active IMSI that are now alive, what is the IP, what is the data usage, like really focus in giving the customers all the capabilities to see the behavior of the network, to see what's going on in the network. You can see top speed receiving traffic, top speed transmitting traffic. We can measure the latency, we can measure the packet loss, really giving the customers APIs and self-service to utilize the edge. Active IMSI, connected radios, and everything based on APIs, everything based on self-service. In terms of radios that we support, you can see here, if we go to the eNode Bs, these are all the radios that we are already pre-integrate to our platform. Some of them even APIs from the radio going to our cloud to see the status that is coming from the radio, not only from the edge. This is, for example, the 900 megahertz unlicensed band that we are able to operate 3GPP band 8 radio. This is partnership that we have with a company called Ubic. So very much focus in integration and self-service. So the UE will connect seamlessly, and also the eNode B. Any questions?
Yeah, quick question. There in the prerequisites, it says that you guys have your own SIM cards.
Yes, we are a service provider, so we operate our own network. We are
Okay.
providing the SIM card, but of course, because of the flexibility that we have, I have an API to upload KI and OPC and IMSI from another vendor. So we have situation that customers come with existing SIM cards and wants to move to Monogoto Cloud, and we will upload their SIM card. We have other situation that you want to just take SIM cards from us, maybe with public connectivity, and then we will give you the KI and OPC to upload it in your own EPC.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Thanks.
So we are a building blocks company. Companies can use it just for Bootstrap. Companies can use it just for public connectivity. Companies can use it just for private, or we can do public, private, and even satellite on a single use case.
Thanks. Cool.
Any other question?
Sorry, I have a question. I was on mute.
Yeah.
So your picture was 4G. Could you speak to 4G versus 5G, where you are in that transition?
Yeah, and I will do full transparency. We are working with Ether and 5GS. On 5G, at the moment, we have more progress with the 5GS core and not with Ether, but this is something that we definitely want to close the gap. So at the moment, we are more mature with the 4G of Ether and with the 5G of Open 5GS.
Thanks.
And what are the gaps that you see from your perspective between Ether and Open 5GS?
We don't see really technical gaps. It's just prioritizing. We had a customer that wanted us to start with Open 5GS on a specific project, so we make it work, and others that we start, like GS Labs wanted to use you guys on when we started, so we use Ether. And now we just, and I had some strategy discussion with you guys offline. Of course, I want to get closer to you and to use the 5G from Ether also.
Thanks.
I want to get to a situation that a company can deploy the 4G or 5G, immediately see it in the GUI here of Monogoto, immediately able to manage it in a self-service way. We are very happy to give free services for developers. We are very happy to give free services for educational. If something become production, we are not going to charge like other companies that are charging per a project. We will be a service company. So the money that we will take will be per active SIM card or per active edge per month. This is our cloud approach. But as a company that want to support open source, we are very happy to get to a situation that the open source is plug and play to our cloud and just give it for free for non-commercial use cases. Any question?
For the Ether 4G, you're able to get all the information that you need on the cloud with the existing APIs, or are you looking for more?
We did much more. I can show you some of the APIs that we developed. So if you go to our core, Node B, where is it? I think it's here. So that's all the API that we added. So for example, API to configure the PLMN, API to get the PLMN, API to configure the IP, APN, API to get the APN. So ping, iPref, speed test. So we are adding more and more, and everything that we are adding is with our understanding of how customers will consume it. Customer wants to make sure, for example, yesterday we deployed a private network for companies that are doing remote video management, fast, and they needed to test speed. So we have an API for that. And instead of asking the customers to connect a computer and test speed, we used one API. We test speed to the cloud, we test speed to the device, and we can detect where the gap was or where the problem was. This is another popular API that we added, Capture, so customer can download a pickup and immediately look at the traffic and see what's going on.
So you have like a version of the Ether code and you've enhanced that to handle these APIs. And
okay, so I'm a little bit high level for that, but we can talk with him. I'm not sure if we have Moti, our product manager here, but we might need GS Lab to advise on the exact fork that we did.
Okay.
Moti, do you know the version, or we need a link?
No, I know we need a link for that.
But yeah, we can absolutely follow up with a specific answer on that.
All right.
But our best hope is that you guys like what we do and want to fork it together with us. Maybe we can do some PR around it. Maybe we can do it in MWC. We are going to be there. And we want to promote usage in the core. And we believe in CBRS, and we think the timing is starting to be valid.
It makes sense.
So Mayor, maybe I can mention, so Mayor and I've met, I think, twice or three times in the last couple of months, kind of talking about this a little bit. And, from my point of view, let me see if I get this right. Correct me if I get anything off or add, but, I think there are maybe 3 or 4 different ways I can envision collaborating. And the first might be you have a number of core enhancements you've mentioned today that you might be willing to open source. GS Lab would probably be the feet on the ground doing that, but that includes billing, QoS, the APIs, and you also have kind of some dashboard related work.
Correct.
And
correct.
So I don't know if all of that are open source candidates or what.
Yeah,
but
everything is open source candidate. Let's say whatever is connected to Monogoto dashboard, it's less open source because it's API that go to Monogoto, but the API will be open source, so no problem if somebody want to take the API and connect it to another backend.
Right. Okay, good. So that's kind of category 1, I think. Category 2 is that SIM cards are a real pain, and you have the infrastructure to burn SIM cards. And we talked about just providing a service to if anybody is trying to bring up Ether and needs just a small handful, a dozen SIM cards, that you could be just a provider of SIM cards in a way, and that those SIM cards would work in a localized edge with Ether, but then might also be able to seamlessly connect to your core.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And we can have a promotion with the community that we will give free SIM cards for Ether projects. And for me, it's again, we create an ecosystem.
Right. And so
And
that's
it's not only physical, it's also eSIM.
right. Yeah, very good. So then number 3 is that you've created an ecosystem with 900 megahertz connectivity, which is low bandwidth, low cost, long range connectivity for particularly suited for outdoor. And it's also
LoRa replacement, I call it.
right, and it's unlicensed. And so we could create an Ether blueprint that works with the 5G radio, or the 900 megahertz radios that you've kind of worked on, and so it would be easy for end users to turn up 900 megahertz solutions and get going in those environments.
Absolutely.
And then the fourth is maybe a little bit less clear in my memory here, but you've created a downloadable edge for somebody to get started to kind of connect to your core. I don't know if there are elements of what you have, and Ether blueprints are effectively that today, a downloadable, easy to bring up edge. And so it would be maybe bringing enhancements to the Ether blueprints or finding some ways to collaborate so that somebody that does bring up Ether, should they desire having global connectivity or connecting to your services, that there's sort of an easy point and click way for them to expand beyond the edge and start to work with you. And that's kind of, it's a commercial on-ramp opportunity for you.
So we don't have downloadable edge. So what you're saying makes perfectly sense if we can have in Ether blueprint a Monogoto version of the edge to download, and then seamlessly this version will connect to our cloud for easy management.
Right. Okay, so that's basically a new
I
blueprint.
love it.
It's kind of Monogoto ready, so that it's easy to connect to your service, right?
Yeah, and then I don't need to ship hardware, and I will only ship SIM cards or eSIM for this instance. We can even have this instance pre-configured with, let's say, a handful of keys of QR codes, so people can immediately take an Android or iPhone and connect it to the private network.
Right.